Here we go. My name is Corey, and I am the real life coach. And I call myself the real life coach because I'm just a real parent. Nobody that went to school and got a degree for this stuff. I got a degree from parenting, good parenting and bad parenting. And they both ended up working hand in hand. I can break that down later in another episode if you really want to know, because I know a lot of people say, hey, what makes you think that you could be a life coach for parents? Is because I have experience. You know what I'm saying? I've studied, researched on my own, and I come to some conclusions and not from somebody who want me to think the way that they want to think about parenting. So one of the topics, and first of all, let me get to this. I really appreciate you all tuning in. A couple people that's here. Please like, share, and subscribe, like always. And let's take this journey together. You know what I'm saying? Because we can get on podcasts and talk all day long about different things and so on and so forth. But we can also talk about some more productive things. And I think that this can be a very productive thing if we can make it work. And I believe that we can. And if we can't, then we can't. But I'm gonna try it out. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, thanks, Chris, and thanks, Lisa, and anybody else who decides to join in. So far, I see that we don't have nobody here right now, and that's okay because I'm gonna keep going. But one of the biggest things that we as parents like to have is control. You know what I'm saying? And when we don't have that control, we feel like, you know what I'm saying, we feel like empty. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, at some point, you do have to have some type of control over your kids and the whole situation surrounding everything. So today we're going to talk about, is it appropriate to check your child's telephone? What do y'all think about that? So for those of you who have rewatched the video, put in the comment section what you think about it before we get started. And when I get done, tell me if you change your mind a little bit. But excuse me, my personal thoughts about that is that safety comes first. You know what I'm saying? Safety comes first because look, let's just face it. And these days and times, we giving 12, 13, 14-year-old kids cell phones. And that stuff was not heard of when I was younger. Like when I was 12 or 13, we didn't even like, we was happy to have a house phone. Now these kids got cell phones, and these cell phones has a lot of information on them, a lot of access to them, a lot of good things and a lot of bad things. And I know a lot of us, we say, and we feel like these phones are terrible things to have and a terrible thing to do, but it depends on how you use it and how you raise your kids to use it. You know what I'm saying? But I think that the most important thing that we should do when considering something like this is that we have to make sure that our kids are taught better and taught to be responsible with the telephones, and let them know what it's for. Like, for instance, if you're giving a 12 or a 13-year-old a telephone, that may be okay. And that also depends on the kid, because some kids are not mature enough. And you as the parent, you know that. You know what I'm saying? You know, and it's crazy because a lot of times people would try to dictate to you, if you should let them have a phone, if you shouldn't let them have a phone. But you know your situation better than anybody else, and you know your child better than anybody else. At least you would hope. I would hope that you do. So for the most part, it's really, the relationship and the responsibility levels of the parent and the child. And the parent have to look. Don't just give. I highly speak against this. Don't just give your kids a phone and say, here you go. You have to have some type of limitations on it. Same way as giving a kid a car. It's okay, go drive. Like, okay, you might have a natural instinct to drive the car, but do you actually really know how to use the car? Because a car can be dangerous, just like a telephone could, because you got all kind of strangers. You got pedophiles, you got kidnappers, you got manipulators, you know what I'm saying? And you don't want influencers to get your kids doing different things that they don't have no business doing. So yes, I do think that, especially at a young age, a parent should be able to check your child's telephone. But you got to set that and get that understood from the very start. You don't just up and give a kid a phone and they think that they got this private space, and then all of a sudden you pop up and say, here, give me the phone, I'm going to check it, because now they feel violated. And see, when we was younger, you do what I say and just shut up. And I disagree with that type of parenting. I think that and I used to be that way. You know what I'm saying? With my first two boys, I think that kids need some leeway. They need room to think. They need room to learn how to understand things and articulate things and act things out as they come in different situations. Because if you dare to tell them everything they need to do in every little step, then when they are away from you, they are going to be in complete, uh, just lost. They're going to be lost without you. You know what I'm saying? You ever see, when a kid, and I hate to say it like this, but when a kid loses a parent and they really feel like, what am I going to do now? We don't want our kids to grow up in that type of situation. They should know what they need to do, at least to a degree, because you have taught them. So if you let them know from the gate, look, I'm gonna give you this telephone, but I have your access code and I have all the information that I need, and I have the right to check your phone whenever I feel. Do you agree with that or you don't? And if they say yes, then it's an understanding. If they say no, then don't give them a telephone. It's just that simple. You know what I'm saying? But you don't want to get into grabbing a phone and just searching through it as they get older, because as kids get older, they start to feel like, okay, I need space, I need this, I need that. And you should give them that, because what happens is, like I said, when they get, okay, for instance, I'll give a perfect example. My daughter's about to go to college pretty soon here. So she needs some freedom. She got to get used to that. She got to get used to making decisions on her own. She got to get used to making decisions without every time something come up, she got to call mommy or daddy. Why? Because might not be available, and it's time for them to grow up. You know what I'm saying? And no kid, it's a natural instinct to want to be independent. So we have to let them get there, but get there responsibly and do it at a slow pace. People say, I've always heard this, man. They call them, what they call them, like when they're not able to do this and do that, then they go to college and they get buck wild. You know what I'm saying? And that can happen too. But this is why you have to teach them and tell them why. You don't just say, hey, I'm gonna go all the way to the extreme. Hey, don't use drugs. And they say, okay. Right. And then they see their friends doing it and they think it's a cool thing. So they try it. But when you break it down, why, you just think about that for a minute. That might sound crazy, right? But do they automatically know what drugs is? Do they automatically know what it's going to do? No. You can't depend on the school to tell them, or because sometimes half the teachers on drugs. You know what I'm saying? So you got to teach these things in the home, and you got to let them know, don't do certain things, but you have to let them start letting them loose. So this is just studies, like around the age of 12 or 14, more monitoring can make sense, because kids are still learning judgment, and parents may need to check the phones more often. So when you get off into the 15, 16-year-old status, it's like you want to start ease it up and give them a little more privacy. Now, I want to throw this in as I go in and go down this list, that you got to remember too that some kids are like more mature. You know what I'm saying? And call me crazy if you want to, but like, say for instance, with my oldest daughter, I don't believe I've never checked her telephone, but she knows that I will. You know what I'm saying? She know that, but I've never grabbed her phone and say, here, let me look through your phone, because I have confidence in how I raised her. I have confidence in her behavior, and she's not showing any type of behavior that makes me say, I need to check your telephone. You know what I'm saying? That's just me. And that's just her. That don't mean that applies to every kid or for every parent. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes you don't know. You don't. You know what I'm saying? But in this case, so far, I have not felt the need to do that. And the less you have to do it, the more secure and confident you allow your child to be. Because at the end of the day, everybody wants some level of privacy. And I don't think that, like, listen, maybe she need to vent to a friend and tell a friend, I'm mad at my daddy. She might not want you to know she's mad right now. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, if you have that open relationship with them, eventually they will come to you, or if things get more serious, or sometimes they may not. So who are you to think that they need to tell you every single thing? I mean, look, and maybe they will, but that's up to them. Sometimes they're not going to tell you every single thing that you want to know. And if you think that you can coerce them to do that, then you're confusing yourself. Really. I think a lot of times we make this parenting thing a lot more difficult than what we need to. And I tell you, and I'm not here to say that I was the greatest parent or that I am the greatest parent. And I'm not the worst either. I don't believe. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe that. But I know that I've become a better parent my second chance around with my girls because I had the experience with the boys. And now a lot of things that I did, a lot of ways that I taught, now I know better because when you teach a bad lesson, it come back and bite. When you teach a good one, it come back and give you a hug, or shake your hand. So that's really on us, the way we raise our kids. But a lot of times we do these things that we teach them these things and we think it's cute. It ain't cute. It's not funny. It's only funny until it ain't no more. And then you wonder, you're looking silly, and now you want to take the phones and all this stuff. But just look, teach them in the beginning, be a good example, and let them learn on their own. You know what I'm saying? So, that's the thing. Said right here, says, do not necessarily read every message just because you can. Don't do that. Like, could you imagine that though? For real, you sitting there, every little message that they write, you reading on it. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes you still have to know what's going on and be bold with it. I wouldn't sneak. If I want to check my kids' phone and say, hey, come here, bring me your phone, open it up. Or, I used to know the code, but I don't remember. What's crazy? Y'all can call me crazy for this. They know the code to my telephone, but I don't really do secrets no more. It's like my life is pretty transparent. But yeah, like we say, as you get older, you want to move from constant monitoring to teaching judgment, and that's what, and then you can teach another level of judgment. So you don't have to teach your kids when they 2, you know what I'm saying, about, and I'm just giving an example. You're not gonna give a 2-year-old a phone, but I'm just giving an example. You don't teach a 2-year-old, hey, don't sniff cocaine. Like, what the, you know what I'm saying? But as they get older, then you need to start letting them, hey, look, drugs are finna come to the game. I know these finna get this stuff at school. Watch out, don't do this, don't do that. And you teach them early, and then that's it. Because you want them to be able to make decisions again when you are not around, or when you don't make sense. I'm sorry, I'm reading my notes about something makes sense. Or when you're not around, or they can't contact you, they need to be able to make decisions on their own. So it's certain signs that you may have to think that maybe I should check the phone. You know how your kids be, they behavior change. Now they secretive all the time. Secretive, sneaky, quiet, whispering. Wait a minute. What's going on? Come here. What happened? You know what I'm saying? Because everybody got secrets. Everybody in the world got secrets. But when you start seeing them being secretive, then that's a reason to believe maybe I need to start paying better attention. But that don't necessarily mean that there's something there. Maybe there's just something that they don't think that they want to talk to you about. You understand? Let me see. Yeah, that's right. Miss Lisa is here. Christmas has something to do. Let me see what we got next, because we're gonna still make videos. Major behavior changes. What do I mean by that? Like, your kid may be a happy-go-lucky kid, and all of a sudden it's behavior change. They might be, a regular normal eater. Now, I don't want to eat. Or they might be really active, and now they're sleeping a lot. You see what's going on. But I wouldn't, to be honest, I don't believe in sneaking and doing it. I just think that everything should be up front. Look, I'm checking your phone. Stand right here while I'm checking. I'm looking through it. That's it. And a lot of times, if they know that you will do that, they'll keep things clean. Or they hide things better. So that's the chance. That's why you got to build a trusting relationship with your kid. You know what I'm saying? You got to look up. You got to start when they start wanting to get into the boys, you can tell, or the girls, you know. And I know, look, it's going to be a tighter ship on the boys than it is the girls. It's just how we are. Is it fair? I don't know. I think so, though. That's what I think, because I think it's a lot different, and that's a whole different show. But that's something to talk about another day. If you find out that they've been talking to strangers, and you can hear that in conversations because they say things, and you're like, well, where you get that from? Who said that? Oh, Billy. Who the hell is Billy? You know what I'm saying? From the park. Oh, you and Billy, let me see that phone. I get that. And as a parent, that's what you're supposed to do. Absolutely. Any signs of, the kids using drugs or, online trends, you see them. Look, I seen a kid today. They be in front of them cameras doing all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? But that's little kitty stuff. That's what they do. But you want to pay attention to that. You know what I'm saying? But you will know when it's time to look at the phone. But don't just take every opportunity to look through their telephone. A lot of people do that with their spouses. I don't know. You know, I tell people all the time, say, I don't check my wife's phone, you know what I'm saying, like that. But we mingle with each other's telephone all the time, and it's no big deal because we're not doing nothing wrong. Well, I'm not. Oh man. So you have to build trust because trust matters. You don't want to underestimate a trusting relationship with your kid. Trust me when I tell you, because see, like when they super young, it's easier because they tell you everything. Blah, 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 yeah, blah, 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 blah. But as they get older, they start shutting stuff down. And if you have that kind of relationship with them, they'll be comfortable to come and tell you things, whether they good or bad. And we have to set that tone, and we all, even include myself, we have to do a better job at letting them know that, hey, you can come and talk to me about anything, because as well as trust can be earned, it can be lost also. We got to remember that. And I'm talking about even you as a parent. You know what I'm saying? Like if your kid come to you and say, hey, let me give you something simple. Like, I broke my computer. I dropped it. It broke. And now you thinking, and they thinking, oh my God, daddy's going to kill me. Not knowing, the kid not knowing the whole time you got insurance on the computer, we're going to have to go get you a new one. That's it. And don't make a big deal out of it, because mistakes happen. Now, if they keep doing it over and over, I mean, geez, man, we got to take it to some sports training or something, teach you how to work your hands or something. We got to do something about this, but do something about it instead of hollering and screaming about little small petty things that don't need to be really addressed, because what that does is it makes them not want to tell you nothing, and it make them lie to you. Now that they drove the car and hit a curb and bust a tire, instead of them telling you what really happened, they told you somebody stuck a knife in it. Now you run around looking for somebody with a knife, and ain't nobody had no knife. They ran into a curb. So honesty and trust it runs hand in hand, and we got to keep that open with the kids. So I just say that it's better to put safety first, safety and trust. You know what I'm saying? And so if you teach me these things from the beginning, they have an understanding, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of kids want to have they privacy, but you have to earn that. You don't just get it out of nowhere. And put them in right environments. You know what I'm saying? I know that, this one is a tough one because it's controversial, but it's like when you live in certain areas, your kids are in those environments. This is something that we don't like to talk about, right? But it's real. Certain environments are good, certain environments are bad, certain environments are better, certain environments are worse. And we need to understand the environment that our kids are in so that we can explain it to them, teach it to them, learn it to them, practice it, and keep it pushing. Because at the end of the day, some of us are in where we at, and that's it. And we have to learn to adjust to those environments. And I know that, like, you hear parents say, man, you live out in the suburbs, you got to bring them to the hood sometime. For what? For what? To get them used to it? So that when they go there, they're gonna die. No, I don't have to do that. That's like saying to me, that's like saying let your kids grow up. You know what? You got to take them to the drug house sometime just to let them see what it's like. No, we're not doing drugs, so there's no reason for them to be at the drug house. Let me see where we at. Okay, so when you got two different kids, this is the thing. This is something. This is a tough one that parents and kids have to learn to understand. You cannot raise two kids the exact same way. A lot of people push that, but it's not possible because people are different. It's the same thing as saying you got a basketball team and you run a 2-3 zone and you run a box offense. So you just gonna run the same defense and the same offense against every team? No, because different teams are different and different strategies are needed to get to the point to where you need to get it. Look, some teams are easy to score on by shooting. Some you got to go to the basket. You just got to change things up. And it depends on the kid and how you raise them. But they all got the same rules, but you have to raise them according to how they are. You know what I'm saying? Some kids you can be a little more aggressive with. Some kids you got to be a little more soft with. And you know that as a parent. Um, so you don't want to get into that, and you don't want to wait. And when you give them the telephone or something, they got a phone or some privacy, you don't want to wait till something happen for you to lay down the rules, because you don't want no surprises. Just keep it clear. You make it clear. Look, I know this is your room, but I may come in your room time to time to check it out, to make sure, look around and see if things are looking good, and go in there and clean up. And I might look under your bed, but if you keep your room clean, I might not have a reason to look around. So then you're good. Keep it clean. You know what I'm saying? Just like keeping your phone clean. Don't be having crazy pictures and stuff on your phone and stuff. It's just inappropriate. And typically, from my experience, when you teach them these things and tell them why, they understand, and they pretty much want to abide by that. You know what I'm saying? They really do. They really do. They don't want to they really don't want to go against that. You know what I'm saying? So my final conclusion is, yes, I do think that you should have the right to check your kid's phone, but I don't think that you should abuse it and make them feel like a piece of shit. Because a lot of times too, you got to remember, if you constantly checking a phone, that might work on a confidence. Like, damn, like, daddy don't trust me, mama don't trust me, what's going on? So you want them to have that trust. You want them to have that confidence that that they'll be responsible, and that they know how to step out and live, and they build off of that, just like they build off the negativity. Nobody wants their phone constantly checked. Even like, I'm a grown man, and I'm not doing nothing wrong with my telephone, right? But if my wife keep checking through my phone, I'm not. That's gonna rub me the wrong way. You understand what I'm saying? But every now and then, if she pick up my phone and start looking through it, I don't care, right? But you know what I'm saying? If it's happening frequently, I'm gonna start wondering what's going on. Why am I being treated like this? Because that's you telling me that you think I'm low down and rotten, and the kid that feel the same way, and we don't want them to feel that way. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to do a short live about it, and kind of get things moving. So, but if you all would like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and like and share the video, it would be greatly appreciated. And if you all have any questions or any topics you want to talk about, then I will. But I don't want to drag this out. I want to keep it nice and short and sweet. And I'll probably do the same thing tomorrow. So make sure you tune in to what's the name of the channel again? What's the name of the channel? Real Life Coach for Parents. I got too many. I keep forgetting. So Chris, Lisa, I really appreciate y'all, and share it out if you can. And I'll make some shorter videos to break this down a little bit. And I really appreciate it. And make sure you like, share, subscribe. Again, peace. I'm out of here.